Hey everybody. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about how doing an inspections on homes, once you buy a home, you were given the 10 days to 17 days to do an inspection. And we mentioned how I have a young client that is purchasing a home, and one of the inspections I encouraged him to have done anytime a home is prior to 1970 is to have a drain line inspected. Well, I have a plumber here and I'll introduce you in just a moment. And what we found is that when he was cameraing the actual drain line, he was at a spot where he hit, where he couldn't go any farther because the pipe had actually been impacted almost 80%. So we took the next step and he has taken some time to dig it out. I'm going to show all this and I'm going to introduce you to our most wonderful plumber here, Mr. Tim Short with Honest Plumbing, and he is honest, and trust me, this is amazing. But I'm going to show you what he found, and one of the reasons why I'm out here to take a look at this. So first of all, again, this is a home that was being purchased by my client, and so it's a nice, wonderful home. There's been lots of things done to it, but when we go OSH blank blank blank, this is what was found. So if you have never had your plumbing inspected or anything like that, what I want you to know is that trees are wonderful and everything. However, they actually used to have a pepper tree right out here. And so what happened is that the pepper tree impacted and followed this. Now, we talked about the fact that the pipe that this was built was Orangeburg, and I explained to you how it's sort of like a roll of cardboard that had been wrapped in tar and things like that. Well, this is what it looks like. And if you look at that root, that's a 2-inch root. Now, the owner of this property had tenants in it. The tenants never complained about it, but at the same time, this here impacts a lot. You can see all those little roots and everything there. So I'm going to have Tim sort of explain his process and what he does and how it is. So this is Tim with Honest Plumbing.
Hi. So, yeah, kind of at this point, what we've noticed is how the root is actually following the pipe. We were able to get the camera to go another 12 feet, but right over here at 12 feet, the top of the pipe is now collapsing, and we can't get the camera past that point either. So it's kind of showing us that that root is going to be following that pipe almost its whole length up until the root system would end where that tree was, which will typically go twice past their canopy. So however big that tree was, those roots would go twice past that, not including the times it's been trimmed. So it's turning into quite a project.
So now on something like this, if I was to ask you approximately what it would cost, it's a lot more of the labor, right?
Correct. And typically it depends a lot on if it goes underneath the driveway or what type of landscaping would be affected. This particular property isn't too bad just because it's just a lot of rock and dirt, so it wouldn't be too bad. But at this point we don't know where the sewer line goes because we can't get the camera past that point to locate it. So next step would be pretty much to follow the pipe versus a trenchless method, which is what we would typically like to do, just because it's a lot less invasive, a lot less labor inclusive. But being that we can't locate the end of it, a trenchless option is not something that we can do with this one, unfortunately.
Explain what a trenchless is.
Trenchless would be where we do a hole like what we have up here, and then we would do a second hole down at the end where we would take the new line. Sometimes that's all the way to the Y out in the middle of the street if the entire line is bad. Sometimes it's just to the property line where we can do a second pothole there. And then there's a machine that has a head on it that will go inside of the old pipe and burst it apart and pull a brand new pipe in its place. So there's that method, which is the one I prefer. There's also other methods of sleeving a pipe, which works for some applications, but you're not getting a new pipe. You're using your original pipe as a host pipe, and in this situation it wouldn't even work because the pipe is so collapsed in. You need some type of roundness to be able to do something like that. So I prefer the pipe bursting method because you get a whole new pipe, same diameter. But yeah, it's a lot less invasive just because you're doing the two pothole method versus digging up the whole yard. But, yeah.
So This sort of came about because I personally had a house that had Orangeburg and I personally had to change it out. It's mostly labor, but understand too that as you're digging, you want to make sure that you don't impact your gas lines and other plumbing lines. So if you are in a position to where you want to do this, then I would highly encourage you to hire a professional. Tim with Honest Plumbing is one of my go-to guys. He's an amazing guy. If you need any kind of assistance in that regard. And the other thing too is that if you would like to sort of forward think what this might be, he can actually come and camera your line for any of your homes that are built prior to, actually any home. It doesn't necessarily have to be older than 78, but at the same time, or 70, that tends to be my go-to number. But he can give you sort of a health evaluation on it. And when he cameras a home, I'm going to have him explain a little bit about what that cost might be and how that might impact you. So Tim, share with them what a camera might cost and why they might want to do it.
Yeah, typically the charges for a camera is about $300, just because the type of equipment we use is very high tech, very expensive. And but what we can do is either access through an existing clean out. If we have to go up on the roof, there's an additional $50 charge, but we can go down a vent pipe if we don't have a clean out that's accessible. And then if you have a 2 or 3 story building, we could even pull a toilet and a lot of times get through with that. Yeah, what we'll be able to do is be able to look at the entire line, what type of material it is, what type of condition it's in, as well as how deep it is, exact locations of where problem spots are. A lot of people are lucky and they only have one problem spot that's been giving them trouble for a lot of years, and all we do is dig down to it, do a spot repair, then they don't have to call me for a very long time. But yeah, it's just good to know what's underground, what's coming down the pipeline, so to speak.
And we want to make sure that that pipeline lets what goes down the pipeline go down, not back up into your tub or shower or something like that, which is what happens. So thank you for coming with us on a journey. You learned a little bit more than what you probably wanted to know, but especially during this time of year, this is a great resource for you to have.